Welcome to hour 27 of the tip-off marathon, and it brings us to one of college basketball's best home court advantages. It is rocking here at the Kohl Center. Wisconsin ranked number 20 to start off this season, hosting number 11 Florida. Bob Wischusen alongside Dan Dockich. And Dan, we take a look at our starting lineups, and Casey Hill has to make an immediate impact in the backcourt for the Gators.
He does against tough defensive pressure that Wisconsin's going to put on. Casey Hill, a freshman, and McDonald's All-American, really talented kid. A lot of heat on him tonight.
The Badgers are 1-0. They beat St. John's a couple of nights ago, and welcome back Josh Gosser. He had a terrific outing in his return after having to redshirt last year.
Yeah, he redshirted because of ACL surgery, tore it up last October. All he did is come back with 19 points, 8 rebounds in 35 minutes, and even more than that, and we're probably going to show this throughout the game, he is always in the right spot offensively, defensively, in transition.
And all the Badgers do in this building for their coach Bo Ryan is win. At the Kohl Center, against non-conference competition, under Bo Ryan, the Badgers are 90-7, but if there were a coach that would bring a team in here that could win on the road, it would probably be a Gator team coached by Billy Donovan.
Yeah, I get amused by all of us at ESPN that talk about the great coaches in the country, and we don't mention him. 2 straight national championships, last 3 years, the Elite 8. He's won the SEC 2 of the last 3 years with all the bluster of Kentucky. Nobody coaches basketball at any level better than Billy Donovan.
Jim Burr, Mark Whitehead, Tim Clockerty are our officials, and we are underway at the Kohl Center. Florida beginning the season ranked 11th, but they are a shorthanded group, and we'll talk about the pieces they are missing, which would make a win tonight even that much more impressive should they pull it off. Shot clock already down to 7 for Wisconsin, but they're comfortable taking the shot clock deep. Sam Decker rises up, not the shot they're looking for, and that is a shot clock violation to start the game.
You will not see a better defensive possession all year than that possession.
It's over? It's our first game.
I'm telling you. Everybody was active. Everybody was in help side. They were able, Florida was, to guard their own. Billy Donovan, I promise you, will never have a better defensive possession than that one. That was unbelievable.
I'm a little depressed knowing how anticlimactic the rest of the year is now going to be.
I'm just telling you, that'd make you feel bad about yourself offensively right there. That was really good.
Casey Prather down the lane, and Florida scores the game's first points.
Yeah, that's his game. Attack, 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 whether it's in transition or half-court offense. Look at how active Young is on the ball.
Gosser, strong drive, score the bucket. Actually, Jim Burr waves off the basket and says it is a foul on the floor.
Well, he was active, but he got whipped, and I have no idea how you cannot call that an and one. That's just a bad call early in the year. Because when he got touched, he was going to the rim.
Patrick Young called for his first. Kaminsky tries a 3.
He's got to make that. He's not a low post presence, really, although he has a nice jump hook to his left shoulder, but he's got to be able to make that.
Prather from the elbow tried to slip one on the curl to Patrick Young, who did not turn his head to look for the ball, so it's a Gator turnover.
And you can't blame Patrick Young. You're talking about a guy in Prather that scored 28 in their opener against North Florida, and then he just went to the hoop. Like, you got to say, keep shooting, keep scoring, keep doing it.
And Patrick Young quickly goes to the bench as Michael Frazier comes on as Billy Donovan pushes a lineup button early.
Yeah, here's why he did that. Young got beat on a straight drive. Then Young got beat on a pick and pop. He was slow getting back to Kaminsky. And Billy Donovan not having it. You're going to have to guard in this game for Billy.
Rust with a nice fake. Sets up Kaminsky. Stepping into a 3, Casey Hill. That's way off the mark. Ben Brust left alone. That's off just slightly, and Will You Get pulls down the rebound for the Gators. Here comes Casey Hill, dangerous in transition. The McDonald's All-American, though, turns it over.
This is a great pass by Ben Brust. Shot fake, go by, the old jump in the air bounce pass. You don't see it very often, but Brust pretty good at it.
Well, Ben Brust last season averaging 11 points, over 5 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game for a player that's barely over 6 feet tall. He stuffs the stat sheet.
11 points a game with Brust was their team leader, which is amazing.
Decker from the corner. That's barely drawing iron, and Hill comes back the other way. Behind the back, Casey Hill. And Casey Prather is able to get it to go, and he'll go to the free throw line.
Pretty smooth by Casey Hill, comes off the ball screen and goes behind his back. And then, as we said earlier, Prather just goes to the rim. I mean, he's not a jump shooter. He's an attack the basket guy. Now watch this here. A little behind the back, very smooth. And he just goes to the rim, jumps to the side. And Kaminsky didn't have his shoulders squared to the driver. And on bailing out, three-point play.
Casey Prather only averaged about 6 points per game last season, but began the year with 28 points, a career high. And the Gators' opening game win against North Florida. And the new rules come into play already. Will You Get with a couple of hands on Nigel Hayes. So that's You Get's first, and it is talked about every single game so far during the marathon. And you wonder how deep into the season we'll still be talking about the new rules enforcement of hand checking and dealing with cutters.
Yeah, you know, cutters being bumped in the Big Ten kind of went away a few years ago, but certainly hands on you. Like right here, as soon as he drives, you got to take your hands off. Which, Bob, help side defense is going to be huge, and you just saw it right there. The help side defense of Florida was there early and forced a turnover.
Casey Hill with an old school floater that goes down. Another chance for an old-fashioned three-point play for the Gators as they extend their lead.
I love this kid. Coached against him in AAU. He takes his time. He's patient. He doesn't get off balance. And in modern-day ball screen, top of the key basketball, guys Casey Hill's size have got to make floaters, have got to make mid-range jump shots, and he's very good at it.
Nick Calathis and Jay Lucas were the last freshmen to start at point guard for Billy Donovan. That was back in 2007. But with Scotty Wilbekin suspended to start the season, as is Dorian Finney-Smith and DeMontre Harris in the front court, it's a short-handed group for Billy Donovan. So Casey Hill, as a freshman, has no choice but to run the point.
Yeah, how do you get suspended?
Double dribble called, turnover on Ben Brust.
Yeah, I have no sympathy for guys that get suspended. Coaches are here. You have all kind of support staff, whether it's academic people, you have life counselors, you have personal counselors, and yet you go out and you're dumb enough to go get suspended. And here's my problem with it, Bob. It's an epidemic across college basketball. And all you got to do is open a paper every day, and kids are getting suspended. And I have no sympathy for those kids. It's not the NCAA rules. It's kids just not paying attention and respecting the opportunity that they're given. So you three guys sitting at home, I hope you learn your lesson, because your team in Florida is playing pretty hard without you.
And playing stiff competition to start off the season as well.
Absolutely. St. John's is no joke, athletically really good, and coming in here, this is tough at home court as there is in the country.
Prather spins down the lane, can't get the finger roll to go, and then commits the foul. Strong rebound in traffic by Douye Dukin. Wisconsin still down by 5 early. Welcome back to Madison. The tip-off marathon continuing at the Kohl Center as number 11 Florida with an early lead here at number 20 Wisconsin. A short-handed Florida team, but Dan Dakich getting production from players. They're going to have to, even when the rest of the missing pieces come back, be bigger than they've ever been before. Casey Prather, certainly a good example of, with the front court point production that the Gators have lost, Prather's going to have to step up his senior year and become a scorer, probably in a way he hasn't before.
Yeah, I said St. John's. That's not right. They played North Florida, and Prather went for 28. You know, they're not getting any production right now or against North Florida by Patrick Young, who's an all-SEC kid. He's going to be, or he's going to have to be, a difference in this game, but this kid right here Casey Prather attacking, and then finishing. It was one thing to attack, but keeping your head on the rim, chin on the rim, and finishing in traffic, it's an art, and Casey Prather pretty good at it.
And Patrick Young still finding himself a couple of seats down from Billy Donovan over on the Florida bench, as he was pulled barely 90 seconds into the game and has not returned. So it's a smaller group on the floor for the Gators, as Jacob Kurtz came on before the TV timeout for the first time. Nice high-low look, and the finish inside by the freshman Nigel Hayes.
Nigel Hayes, big, strong kid out of Toledo Whitmer, has a body of a linebacker. He's going to be very, very good. Coaching staff just raves about his toughness and his intelligence.
That goes down from deep from Michael Frazier, and when he gets going, that is his strength, as he can hit from the outside. Jumper won't go for Nigel Hayes. All right, Mike, thanks very much. And alongside Dan Dakich, I am Bob Wischusen, and welcome to the Kohl Center. Hour 27 of the tip-off marathon continuing. And we have a terrific matchup. Interesting game between the 11th-ranked Florida Gators, the 20th-ranked Wisconsin Badgers. And another three goes down just before you joined us, as most of the country comes to our game now. Michael Frazier hit a three, and now the sophomore from Tampa hits another. And it's a 9-point lead for Florida.
You're talking about Michael Frazier, an all-SEC freshman, playing for this guy, Billy Donovan, who had mononucleosis early in the year. They felt like he wasn't quite ready, played terrific, and I think it surprised the staff a little bit against North Florida, and he's continued it here.
Frazier lost about 18 pounds dealing with that bout of mono. And now Bo Ryan goes to the bench as he brings Sam Decker back on. Josh Gosser will take a seat as well, as coming on for the first time is George Marshall for the Badgers, who are looking for some offense with only 4 points through the first 6 minutes. Rust for three. That's in and out. Offensive rebound in traffic by Trey Jackson.
You know, you talk about modern basketball. Trey Jackson just got a rebound, and he kicked it to Sam Decker. And Sam Decker would have had a layup, but for some reason, he walked behind the three-point line. Like, 2 points is pretty good.
Especially since Wisconsin is 0 for their first 5 from three. And the shot clock's down to 10 once again. Marshall turns it over, gives it up to Jacob Kurtz. The Gators almost give it right back.
I'm telling you, this Florida defense has been active. The weak side has been in the lane. They've guarded their own man. It's been fantastic through the first 7 minutes. This isn't a matter of Wisconsin just missing open shots. They can't get a good look.
2 field goals, 4 turnovers for Wisconsin, and 3 triples for Michael Frazier II. And it's a double-digit lead for the Gators and a timeout for the Badgers. A personal 9-0 run by Michael Frazier. We'll step aside for 30 seconds and come right back. Bob Wischusen alongside Dan Dakich at the Kohl Center. That is quiet, far more quiet than they usually are here in Madison. It's a 12-point lead early for Florida, and Michael Frazier on a mini 9-0 run by himself.
Yeah, that's just missing a scouting report. You see Trey Jackson was late getting out, then he over-recovered, and then Brust, when you put your hand up against a guy that's hot, it's like the sight at the end of a gun. I mean, you've got to get in, make him put the ball down. Trey Jackson was lazy on one, over-aggressive on the other, and then Brust just didn't compete.
Kaminsky from the corner gives it up. Trayvon Jackson with 5 to shoot. Out of a double team. Kaminsky might have to force one up. Instead, it's inside to Decker, who leans in, too strong. And Will You Get controls the rebound. Eli Carter left alone. That's a little too strong.
Look at that help side. Again, with the new rules, that's the most important thing. Look at the lane, not the ball. Look at the help from Frazier.
Kaminsky shovels one inside. Gasser reverses. And it looks like he will go to the free throw line. No, it is going to be Florida basketball. And we'll step aside. Gators with a double-digit lead, traveling on Gasser.
You're watching ESPN's Tip-Off Marathon.
It's been basketball all night, basketball all day. And we continue here at the Kohl Center. Bob Wischusen alongside Dan Dockich. 16-4, Florida leads. And this is a shorthanded Florida team, in case you're just joining us. DeMontre Harris, Dorian Finney-Smith, two players that transferred in, as DeMontre Harris, a South Carolina transfer, and Dorian Finney-Smith from Virginia Tech, along with Scotty Wilbekin, who for the second time now has been suspended by Billy Donovan. So that's three players, violation of team rules, all suspended indefinitely. And Dan, you start to talk about maybe a Wally Pipp effect. You have some players now for Billy Donovan that are getting an opportunity to play major minutes against good competition early and are playing well.
Well, as a coach, you say, okay, how does Scotty Wilbekin get suspended again as a senior? So Casey Hill's come in, here's a McDonald's All-American, and done really well. And then you say, how is it possible for two guys transferring to a program with the culture that Billy Donovan has to go ahead and get suspended? And you know what? These guys for Florida are playing as good a defense as you'll see all year anywhere. And in terms of Wally Pipp, that means when you're out, you sit because you can't get your spot back. I have no patience for guys getting suspended. It's ridiculous.
Russ with a takeaway. He's rejected from behind. Way up in the air went Devon Walker to knock it out of bounds. And Walker's a good example of a player that barely played last year, but started tonight.
This is an athlete. And Walker quit basically last year. Didn't play as much as he wanted. Billy Donovan, you know, they got him back in the fold. He's been given an opportunity because guys didn't do what they're supposed to do, and he's playing terrific. Decker
for three. Rainbows home the first triple for Wisconsin, and that's a big bucket for the Badgers. You know, and that gets the crowd back into it as well.
And this crowd's been here for a long time. They just need a little bit, and they'll get rolling.
Kaminsky jumps in front of Patrick Young to get the steal. Decker tries again. He's got another. Timeout, Billy Donovan.
Point guards, pay attention. Trey Jackson was going to kick it. He reads the man stepping out, keeps his dribble, penetrates, and finds Decker, who, oh, by the way, drilled the last three. When a player on your team is hot, find him. Don't go away from him. Find him. And Trey Jackson made an absolute veteran, great, not good, great point guard play right there.
NBA Wednesday continues on ESPN with a primetime doubleheader tomorrow at 8. Carmelo and the Knicks against Al Horford and the Hawks. And then at 10:30, Oklahoma City against Doc Rivers and the new regime in Los Angeles. NBA Wednesday presented by State Farm. Starts with Kia NBA Countdown tomorrow night at 7:30. Frank Kaminsky called for the foul. That's his second. And that will put him right back on the Badger bench. So the freshman Nigel Hayes comes on for the second time to replace Frank Kaminsky. Hill, old school finger roll down the lane is good.
That's a freshman. That's a freshman with senior patience and senior poise.
Decker tried to drive one, knocked out of bounds by Young. 14 to shoot for Wisconsin. Both of these teams won their openers. Florida over North Florida, and Wisconsin beats St. John's 86-75. Nice drive by Ben Brust.
Ben Brust back cut, but that was on Patrick Young. Billy Donovan has Patrick Young sitting in the lane because Nigel Hayes isn't going to make a shot. Patrick Young jumped out on Hayes for some reason, and Brust with a back cut. The bucket was there.
Frazier with the left hand, able to finish. 11 in the first half from Michael Frazier. The C's part for Hayes.
Again, you hate to pick on a kid, but Patrick Young is off of him to play the drive. He's not going to shoot, or if he's going to shoot, you'll live with that, but Patrick Young's job is to pick that up.
Wisconsin's made 4 in a row, but Michael Frazier's made everything he's looked at here in the first half. He's got 13.
Yeah, Wisconsin's going to have to change how they play the ball screen on Michael Frazier, because Michael Frazier with room is going to make, they have to come out. They're playing soft on the screen and protecting the lane, but they're going to have to come out and get Frazier.
Trayvon Jackson behind the back. Nigel Hayes off the window. Five makes in a row for Wisconsin, has the crowd in the game. And Florida turning it over makes it even louder.
You're talking about an all-SEC defensive kid right here in Patrick Young. Watch how he's going to jump out. He jumps out for some reason and isn't in the lane to protect. And then here you see Patrick Young goes away from and doesn't keep his shoulders square to Nigel Hayes. And Nigel Hayes takes advantage. Heck of a start for the freshman Hayes.
You know, Patrick Young's a 2-time SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year. He does charity work. He literally is everything you would want the embodiment of your program to be about, but just hasn't developed as a player, it seems, the way Billy Donovan originally thought he would.
Yeah, he embodies everything, but he's got guard in this game. You know, you're right. He's a terrific kid, and he's a terrific player.
Duke with the shot clock winding down to 5, lost it. Decker recovers. He'll try a 3. That's off the mark. Casey Hill, nice find in transition, and Prather able to finish.
Casey Hill going 100 miles an hour, dribbling to his right. His head's up. He looked to the right. No look to his left. That is, again, a great guard play by the freshman.
Gosser's fouled on a reach-in by the freshman Casey Hill, and will step aside. It's the Gators by 8. Tip-off marathon here in Madison. All right, Chris, welcome back to Madison. We've got a couple of top 20 teams here as well, as Wisconsin, with an ice-cold start from the floor, have come back to cut the Florida lead to 8. Decker on the drive, throws it down.
Talked to Decker earlier today. He told me, he said, look, every time the ball is swung to me, I'm driving it. Now, that's his game, and you saw it right there.
Patrick Young rolls the jump hook off the rim. Here comes Trayvon Jackson.
You see Decker wants to go. It was taken away from him, brought back to him, and he exhausted every opportunity.
Jackson tries instead and hits a 3. Wisconsin missed their first 5 from 3, but they've now made 3 of their last 4. Hill tries a triple. That's off the mark. Back tap, though, by Young. Right to Jackson, and a foul called on Casey Hill. That's his second.
You know, Bob, Florida doesn't even look inside. They had a mismatch with Patrick Young on the block against Brust and then Gosser, and nobody even looked. they didn't recognize, they didn't even look. Now, I'm not saying Young's the greatest low post player, but he can go over those two guys.
A 17-8 Wisconsin run. Decker tries to add to it. In and out. And Billy Donovan, even with Casey Hill as a freshman with a couple of fouls, leaves him on the floor. John Pelfrey was up off the bench trying to give Hill some encouraging words after he seemed to be dragging a bit coming up the floor after that last foul. And he can't finish here.
Well, that's where your senior Wilbur can just, hurt your team by not doing what he's supposed to do.
Decker on the drive. It's a one-point game.
Every time the ball is brought back to Decker, he wants to drive it.
Reach-in foul called on Trayvon Jackson. College basketball continues on Sunday with a good doubleheader on ESPN2. First at 5, it's Glenn Robinson III, Mitch McGarry in Michigan, taking on the Iowa State Cyclones. And then a rematch of what was a court storming in the NIT at Robert Morris. But now the Colonials have to go to Kentucky to take on the top-ranked team in the land. College basketball on Sunday, 5 and 7 p.m. on ESPN2. Both games also live on Watch ESPN. Prather traveled. Jacob Kurtz comes back on for Eli Carter for the Gators.
Jacob Kurtz is a walk-on, got 26 minutes, 4 points, 5 rebounds, and again, two guys that are suspended, big kids. So now in a game like this, you're playing a walk-on as opposed to playing two guys that have played well at other places, one at South Carolina and one at Virginia Tech.
Gosser in and out. Jacob Kurtz, when he was a freshman, was a team manager and ends up walking on the team as a sophomore and has been a fixture on the bench the past couple of years, but has never played major minutes. Forced to play major minutes as now the ball ends up off the carom with Wisconsin.
That ball is definitely off Patrick Young. The refs got it right.
An expanded use of the monitor now in the last 2 minutes of regulation and overtime, which if that had been a crucial play towards the end of the game, the officials would have the right to go to the monitor and make sure they got it right.
And I don't mind that. But what I mind in college basketball is when it's obvious. Look at Nigel Hayes, the freshman.
Powers his way inside, and the rebound to Kurtz. Now I know, having worked with you, how much you enjoy officials' trips to the monitor. That always seems to be a soft spot with you.
You don't go through a game without one. They should put advertising on their backside. Eat at Joe's. Throw it in there. He's working against a freshman.
And instead, the defense collapses, but a kick is called against Wisconsin. We'll step aside. The Badgers, trailed by as many as 12, they've cut it to 1. All right, Chris, thanks very much. Welcome back to the Tip-Off Marathon as we're approaching hour number 28. Wisconsin and Florida in a one-point game. How about the game that preceded ours here on ESPN2? What a road win it was for VCU. They trailed by 2 or 3 possessions for most of the second half, but they get a big 3 late and hold on to beat Virginia on the road.
Yeah, the season's too long for that to happen to you. First game for Tony Bennett.
Patrick Young.
I think a steady diet of that needs to happen. Throw it into Young, figure it out.
And Ben Brust finds a way to grab rebounds despite his diminutive size at 6'1". Last year averaged over 5 rebounds per game. He'll try a 3 here. Got it. The first lead for Wisconsin. Young still scoreless. Dribbles it off his knee, out of bounds.
Like I said, they shouldn't throw it into Young. I don't care if he dribbles it off his knee. They need to throw it in there. He needs touches in this game for Florida to beat Wisconsin. 2 straight times it hasn't worked. Doesn't matter. You got seniors and all SEC kids. You got to throw it to them. against the freshman.
Brust, nice up fake, sets up Gosser. That's in and out, and there's Young ripping down the rebound.
Brust should have shot that. Brust just made one. He should have stepped in rhythm and shot it.
Bo Ryan and the Wisconsin bench thought Prather may have dragged his feet. Prather to the corner, wide open. Kevon Walker can't hit it. The Gators going through about a 5.5-minute scoreless drought. Decker with a save. Left alone, Nigel Hayes. In and out, and the rebound to Jacob Kurtz. Frazier off the feed. As Young with a kick out set up Frazier, and he finally misses. Brust from the baseline way short. And all of a sudden both teams go ice cold from the field. Shot clock down to 10. And a foul called away from the ball. Looks like it might be against Nigel Hayes. And college basketball is back Tuesday night with a journey to the tourney matchup. Chris Crawford and Memphis head to Stillwater to take on Marcus Smart and number 8 Oklahoma State. It's the Tigers and the Cowboys. Memphis and Oklahoma State next Tuesday at 8 Eastern on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN.
That's best leader in college basketball, in my opinion, Marcus Smart. Turned down a ton of money in the NBA to come back. And
nice drive by Frazier. Hit the underside of the rim. Backdoor cut into a double team goes Trayvon, but gets bailed out with a foul call on Eli Carter. Just about to hour number 28 as we wrap up hour number 27 of the tip-off marathon. And there have been some terrific games. How about the finish in Baylor earlier today? A foul was literally called with all zeros on the clock, and the officials went to the monitor and ended the game.
I would be a bad ref because if I didn't know exactly, I would say, all right, go shoot. I'd let the players decide that one.
Trayvon Jackson hits a three. Shot clock turned off. Will you get? Muscles one up and draws a foul. This was, at one point, a 12-point Florida lead. But Wisconsin has flipped the script. And Nigel Hayes picks up his second foul.
And the reason Wisconsin flipped the script was they got a little comfortable once Decker hit the 2 threes. He hit back-to-back threes, and you could see their team slow down offensively. Didn't mean they weren't cutting hard. They were still cutting hard, but they got totally more comfortable using their shot fakes, their pass fakes, and turn the game around.
A 25-8 run from that point to this point. As Carter sits down, Nigel Hayes goes to the bench as well. Douye Dukin comes back in the game, and he can certainly hit a three. So with about 13 seconds to go in the first half, shooters on the floor for Bo Ryan.
Yeah, you'll see the ball in the middle of the court and then penetrate it down the lane lines looking for a bucket or a kick three.
And a foul called, maybe a lane violation. It looks like a lane violation called against the Badgers gives you yet another chance. And he takes advantage. Five seconds to go in the half. Trayvon Jackson going to try to do it himself. The finger roll a little too strong, and we have a one-possession game at halftime.
Well, they got kind of the shot. They wanted the ball in the middle. Good defense by Florida, but Jackson pretty well defended. And you see right here that 10 of 18 started when Decker knocked in 2 threes. That was huge.
And a 13-2 run to end the half for Wisconsin. It's a 3-point lead for the Badgers. Time for the Land Rover halftime report. Back to Chris Cotter. Hour number 28 of the tip-off marathon, and we have it on good authority that this group right here never went to bed. They have watched every minute of it, and we had a terrific first 20 minutes, 20 more in store here, and Wisconsin got off to a very slow start in a one-possession game now with Florida. Bob Wischusen alongside Dan Dockich. Very interesting Badger team this year as well. Bo Ryan mixing the old and the new.
Well, the new Nigel Hayes, a freshman out of Toledo, I thought was terrific. He defended Patrick Young. He went to the rim. He has 3 baskets in the first half. You know, a lot of great freshmen in this country, but he made a name for himself here in the first half. And the old Jimmy Jackson's son, Trayvon. Also, Jimmy was from Toledo as well. Trayvon Jackson has kind of dominated the game here from a ball handling standpoint for Wisconsin. Very smart. He's taken the ball places where it needs to go. No turnovers. Has made a couple buckets, 2 threes. I think he's been terrific.
Well, the first 9 minutes owned by Florida. The next 11 minutes completely flipped by Wisconsin that gave them the lead.
I thought in the first 9 minutes you saw a defensive effort by Florida that was as good as you'll ever see. And then Sam Decker knocked in a couple threes, and I thought it relaxed the entire Wisconsin basketball team.
So if you're Billy Donovan, what was the message at halftime based on what you saw that last portion of the first half?
Pressure, pressure, and more pressure. Keep pressure on. I wouldn't be surprised to see Billy Donovan press a little bit.
Prather penetrates, gets to the front of the rim, and finishes to start strong here in the second half.
Prather went faster than the Wisconsin defense went. And that's how Prather plays. 28 points in the opener, all of them attacking the rim.
He only averaged about 6 points per game last season. But with the absence, as we mentioned, of DeMontre Harris and Dorian Finney-Smith based on the suspensions as Kaminsky hits a 3. And also without Scotty Wilbekin, Casey Prather's going to have to pick it up at the offensive end this year.
And he has. And, you know, I've talked enough about the suspensions, but we also said earlier that Kaminsky's going to have to hit those shots because he's going to have those shots.
Kaminsky breaks up the entry pass intended for Patrick Young.
He's going to get one here if they throw it back to him. Pretty good by Young. Much better by Young.
Jackson steps back, comes up short. Casey Hill spins and spun a little too quickly, as it turns out, as he turns it over.
Rule of thumb for a point guard. You take the ball to the elbow where the free throw line meets the lane and you shoot it. If you're going to go inside of that, you have to either get it to the rim on a layup or know who you're dropping it off next to. Hill broke that rule and had nowhere to go travel.
Back-to-back Gator turnovers. Kaminsky thought about it.
Yeah, you can tell he's itchy. He wants another one.
Trayvon Jackson takes the freshman to the basket and draws the foul as Jackson able to post up the smaller Casey Hill.
When you have Wisconsin's team, you see everybody outside the three-point line, and the point guard goes and posts up. That's one of the beautiful things about Bo Ryan's offense. When you watch practice, as I did yesterday, everybody gets work in the post. Guards, forwards, centers. It allows point guards to go down there on a mismatch, and Jackson is much stronger than the freshman Casey Hill.
And that's Casey Hill's third foul. And it looks like Billy Donovan will leave him on the floor as it's Patrick Young going back to the bench, replaced by Michael Frazier, who was red hot in the first half. But Casey Hill, a McDonald's All-American this year, and the first point guard as a freshman to start for Billy Donovan since Jay Lucas and Nick Kalathis combined back in 2007. And he's showing some faith in the freshman, leaving him on the floor with 3 fouls here. Walker hangs a little too strong. Here comes Trayvon Jackson. Gosser lost it out of bounds, but they'll say it was stripped away by Frazier.
Again, there's a guard on the block. Gosser, I've never seen Gosser complain. So for him to complain, I promise you, he got fouled.
Sam Decker turns it over. A 3-on-2 for Florida. Yeget tries to take it himself and rolls it right over the front of the rim.
Well, that was fantastic body control by Yeget. Going really fast down the lane, avoided contact. Terrific play by Will Yeget.
His first field goal. Team's almost dead even in shooting percentage, and it's a 1-possession game as Brust goes backdoor. He's fouled on the floor.
Well, just a little up screen, little flare up screen by Kaminsky. And he hugged Kaminsky a little bit because Kaminsky just made a 3. Bailed out with a foul.
Foul called on Devon Walker. He goes to the bench. Also heading to the bench is Will Yeget as Young comes back in along with Eli Carter. Kaminsky turns, just barely comes up short. Young in the post on Kaminsky. Turns baseline and hits with the left hand.
That's what a senior's supposed to do. You know, he missed a shot on the block, dribbled one off his knees. That's his first basket of the year in his second game as a senior. I'm telling you, that's a real spot for for Florida to go at Wisconsin.
That's the kind of move that could finally get NBA scouts to look harder at Patrick Young.
Yeah,
he looks great getting off the bus, but when he gets on the floor, does he have the offensive game to hold his own?
There's a number of them here. Had a chance to see Kevin Greavy of the Lakers, Courtney Whitty of the Sixers.
Here's Kaminsky. Rainbow jumper won't go. Back tapped by Eli Carter. He's still nursing a leg fracture recovery, though. Brust able to finish as Carter just doesn't have that explosiveness.
Well, not only that, but he didn't play hard. You know, Brust just went at him. And both, I believe it was Frazier and Young were kind of just playing, and Brust was competing.
Frazier from the wing. A little too strong. Decker left alone, able to finish plus the foul.
Last 2 buckets for Wisconsin. Here, Brust, he's just playing hard. Playing harder than Frazier, playing harder than Young, and down there on the block, you're going to see late help. Really good play by Decker, but late help by Carter is a foul.
Welcome back to the Kohl Center. Bob Wischusen here with Dan Dockich. The tip-off marathon into hour number 28. And Wisconsin trailed at 1 point by 12 in the first half. They're up by 5 now. Sam Decker at the free throw line looking to extend the lead. But Dan, we've only had 15 total fouls called in tonight's game. Now there was a lot made, and rightfully so, about the officials being much more stringent with freedom of movement foul calls this season. Hasn't affected these 2 teams tonight.
Well, you have 2 of the best coaches in the history of college basketball, and well-coached teams are just going to move their feet, play without fouling. That's what Wisconsin's always done, as Michigan does. Billy Donovan's teams, well-coached, smart, quick. It's not going to affect well-coached teams as much as people think.
Nice seal inside by Prather, but the rejection from Kaminsky.
That was a great help side play by Kaminsky.
Brust straight away. Hits a 3.
Oh.
Frazier got caught in no man's land and is bailed out by a foul called on Gosser.
Well-coached teams play help side defense. There's Kaminsky. Watch him come over and give help right here. He's in position early. When you're in position early, you take charges and make blocks. When you get to position late in help side, you foul.
A non-shooting foul. So Kaminsky will go back to the bench, get a hand from the crowd as Nigel Hayes comes back on. Duye Dukin jumping to the scorer's table as well. He will replace Sam Decker. But you think these are two teams specifically that in a way might benefit from the fouls that restrict freedom of movement being more liberally called by the officials. Arm bar, hand check, that type of thing.
The arm bar on cutters has kind of been out for a while, but yeah, the hand check. Look how Jackson just moves his feet.
Traveling called on Casey Hill as a result.
And that's been taught by Bo Ryan since he's been coaching. There's nothing different there. You know, every foul that I saw today over the last 27 hours, somebody said, oh, there's a new rule. No, it's not. I mean, good, well-coached teams have been playing this way for a long, long time. So I don't think you'll see teams like Wisconsin or certainly like Florida affected that much. Maybe in an individual game, but not over the course of a season.
Decker, jump hook, comes up short, but he's fouled again.
Decker channeling his inner Adrian Dantley, taking his time on the block.
Second called on Casey Prather. And I spoke with Sam Decker yesterday. It's interesting with the players that they've lost. Jared Berggren, Mike Bruzewicz, Ryan Evans, obviously that group of seniors that won a lot of games for Bo Ryan. But there were plenty of Wisconsin fans last year that were calling for Sam Decker to get more minutes and Ryan Evans to get less. An offensive rebound off the miss and a reset. And Decker said, you know, Bo Ryan makes you earn it. He defers to his seniors. He doesn't just, as many coaches might, cede playing time to what might be a more talented freshman immediately.
Here's part of that, though. The fans want him to play because he's a Wisconsin kid, big reputation throughout the state. I call it the Damon Bailey effect. Look at that help by Decker, though.
Young finishes.
Backed out. Nigel Hayes made a rookie mistake. He got caught on a cross screen, and instead of playing position, he lunged through the passing lane. And Decker came over, and, you know, no match physically. Patrick Young is a physical specimen. I'm telling you, and I'll keep telling you, throw the ball to Young. Play out of Young for Florida. It's 2 buckets this half.
Shot clock down to 10. Decker picks up his dribble with the shot clock at 5. Rust in some trouble. Leans in. Hayes in traffic with the left hand off the window as the shot clock was about to expire.
As good a defense as you can play. Bruss just kept his poise and found the freshman.
Billy Donovan wants a Florida timeout. .15 to go. Florida led by double figures of the first half. Now it's Wisconsin's turn. We are back at the Kohl Center where it is hard to win. Certainly in Bo Ryan's era, as he has opened this building and has posted a .910 winning percentage, 101-18 here at the Kohl Center, 90-7 against non-conference competition. Bob Wischusen and Dan Dockich, what makes this building so hard to win in? Is it just reflective of the fact that he's that good of a coach?
Well, he's that good of a coach, and the players they have pretty good. But I'll say this. You never come here and walk away disappointed in the crowd.
Young inside, rolls it home, and it looks as if they will call that a foul on the floor, a non-shooting foul. And obviously Billy Donovan was thinking that was going to be an and one as Josh Gosser called for the foul.
I guess it's before he went up, but you could very easily see that being called.
Third foul called on Gosser there, and now another foul call. This one will go against Duye Dukin. That's his first.
When it's not going for you, and Wisconsin does such a great job on closing to you on the perimeter, the inside is where you have to go. And these last 4 possessions, Billy Donovan has made sure right here in the 5th possession, made sure it's inside, and they've racked up some fouls.
Well, Prather will go back to the free throw line, but you could see in that last 14 minutes, only 4 field goals for Florida. So that has, all in all, attributed to what has been in total a 22-point turnaround, as Florida led by as many as 12 in the first half, but Wisconsin now has a double-digit lead here in the second half.
And I promise you at halftime, you don't have to yell at a player like Patrick Young. He's a really smart kid, terrific experience, but you have to appeal to his pride. You know, he went a game and a half without a basket. Now, this is an all-SEC kid. So you appeal to his pride, and to Patrick Young's credit, I think he's come out with a real toughness on both ends of the floor in this half. Yeah, I think this is a good move by Billy Donovan. A little face guarding press.
Creates a turnover. And a foul called on Trayvon Jackson.
And it's intentional.
So Jacob Kurtz will go to the free throw line. And it's going to be Florida with 2 free throws plus the ball.
See, Trey Jackson falls down. Yeah, he grabs Kurtz around the arms. He slipped and fell down, but as Kurtz was going for the basketball, clearly Trey Jackson grabbed him around the arms. Intentionally.
Now the officials are going to send the 2 teams to their respective benches. Casey Prather tried to step to the free throw line to take the foul shots. Jacob Kurtz was the player that was fouled. And Billy Donovan, when the officials tried to stop Prather from shooting and put Kurtz at the free throw line, got into a back and forth as we get another look.
Yeah, clearly it's Kurtz that should be at the free throw line. The foul could have been called there on Kurtz. That is a great piece of officiating there. 2 kids going after the ball, hustling. You could have called a foul on Kurtz. I get that. But that's an official that understood 2 guys hustling. And let's see what happens out of it. And what happened was Trayvon Jackson grabbed Kurtz.
Just want to mark the tape. Dan Dockich, great piece of officiating. This
is a really good crew. This is a crew that's serious about their craft. They don't act up. They just call a good game.
We have not had many fouls called tonight. Only 9 total fouls so far in the second half. As Prather comes up short, tapped around, and it stays with Florida.
That was the first time when Prather attacked the basket that the Wisconsin defender kept his shoulders squared to Prather and made Prather shoot over Decker. Prather is a guy that needs an angle, but shooting over a defender on the move is not his thing. There, he got an angle.
And the floater rolls off for Prather. Kaminsky with the rebound. Here comes Trey Jackson.
Boy, they're going to get brushed right here if they'll skip it.
Rust eyed up by the former team manager, Jacob Kurtz, who has now made the team as a walk-on. Trey Jackson, rainbow jumper won't go. Kaminsky keeps it alive. Dukin for 3. Got it! Just off the window for Casey Hill. It won't go. Numbers the other way for Wisconsin. Kaminsky from the corner. Too strong. Nice box out inside position for Kurtz. Draws the foul on Sam Decker. But Duye Dukin with his first field goal. On the left, there's his dad sitting next to Tony Kukoc, who looks troubled by what just took place. Dukin's three extends the lead for Wisconsin. College basketball season underway, and how about this doubleheader on ESPN2 on Sunday? First at 5, it's Glenn Robinson, Mitch McGarry, and the Wolverines against Iowa State. And then at 7, the #1 team in the country, led by sensational freshman Julius Randle. They had a tough one against Michigan State, but they'll take on Robert Morris, who they lost to last year in the NIT. College basketball on Sunday at 5 and 7 on ESPN2. Both games also live on Watch ESPN.
I think in the loss today, Kentucky showed the country that they're really good. Missed a ton of free throws. Julius Randle went for 27, freshman.
And 13, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, you take freshmen into that big environment against a team like Michigan State with the experience that they have, and I think everybody knew Kentucky was really good. But if there was any question that freshmen can play, answer today, in my opinion. Question now is, where's Florida going to get the points? They're trying to post up Yaget and Young.
Prather drives, can't finish. The tap, though, inside goes.
And again, when you play Prather, you just keep moving your feet and keep him in front of you, because when he goes past you, he's so athletic and bouncy that he can go right back up on a quick bounce and get a tip in like he just did.
And some backcourt pressure forces a timeout to be called by Trayvon Jackson. Wisconsin, though, started missing their first 5 from 3. They completely turned it around after about the first 6 minutes.
Yeah, missed their first 5, 8 for 12 from now, and these are the 2 threes, or excuse me, Decker hit 2 in a row. But I think this kid here, Trayvon Jackson, he and Kaminsky are the 2 guys down the stretch here going to have to make shots. Dukin, he was making them all night last night in practice, so no surprise from the top of the key. But as this game goes, look for number 12 and number 44. They're going to get great looks.
Bo Ryan's team has never, at least when he has been the head coach, finished worse than 4th in the Big Ten. Now, they don't have the championships to go with that type of top of the standing success that you would expect. They've only been the regular season champions 3 times, but they're always in contention.
Look, you stay in contention long enough, you're going to win a few, and 3's pretty good.
Shot clock down to 7.
Right, let's talk about the SEC champions. 2 out of the last 3 years, Florida Gators. I mean, people talk about Kentucky. Florida pretty good.
Shot clock violation, I believe. Kaminsky barely getting it off his fingertips, shy of the buzzer going off.
Yeah, a little handoff sequences by Florida has worked pretty well. And with the second handoff being to Prather here, let's see if they go to something like that.
Yaget lost it, somehow found its way to Young, back out to Frazier, who hits a 3. He was red hot in the first half, had been quiet for quite a while, though. That's his first points of the second half.
I'm going to say it again, really good officiating. Trayvon Jackson, flop, no call. Yaget was able to play out of it, end up with a 3 for Frazier.
Shot clock under 10 once again. Nice crossover by Jackson. Lost his footing on a foul call. Casey Prather stuck his knee out.
I don't blame Trayvon Jackson right here, number 12. I mean, that's a flop. Now, but the help comes. Pass is made to Young. Young's strong enough to kick it out. And that's what you can do against Wisconsin. If you can get the ball inside and draw help, you can get some good looks kicking it back out.
That foul on Prather was his second, but the 6th called, or the 5th called against Wisconsin, or Florida, pardon me. Wisconsin 1 foul away from being in the penalty.
Well, he knew he missed it, too. Kaminsky's going to get some looks. He knew he missed it, ran right after it.
Hill, coast to coast, no good. The tip follow won't go. And over the back is called on Patrick Young. That's his second.
Casey Hill was flying down the lane. And Young had a great look at it, had one shot at it.
So now both teams have 6. We shoot free throws the rest of the way. Brust left alone. The back tap by Kaminsky. Brust knocked it away from Casey Hill, but there's Kurtz to clean it up. Transition and an offensive foul call. That's the 3rd on Casey Prather.
Now that was no fly, and that's what you have to do to Prather. You stay between him and the basket. This is absolutely not a foul. Prather a little out of control. Jackson clearly outside the arc, in position before the move was made. Really good play by Trayvon Jackson. Trayvon Jackson, this time last year, was a little bit of a rotation guy. George Marshall was starting coming off a redshirt year, but man, by the end of the year, he was all Big Ten in the tournament. And now, in my opinion, the unquestioned leader of this Badger team.
Trayvon Jackson penetrates, hits the floater. Nine now for Trayvon Jackson. Straightaway 3 for Casey Hill. That's off the mark. Sam Decker with the rebound. Trayvon Jackson dribbled it through a double team and lost it. Turnover, and here come the Gators, down by 8, 7:15 to go. Way outside, a 3 goes for Michael Frazier, and a quick timeout called by Billy Donovan.
You can't jump back when you're guarding a shooter, meaning when he gives it up, you got to jump to the ball, stay in a passing lane. If you're underneath her, you know, the old line when you're a kid, stay between your man and the basket. That's how you're taught in 3rd grade to play defense. That doesn't apply to shooters in college.
We'll step aside for just a moment. 5-point game now as Michael Frazier has 19 for Florida.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Infinity. Luxury cars that deliver inspired performance.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. Bob Wischusen, Dan Dockich, and we go inside the play.
Yeah, gather around, kids. You're going to learn how to guard a shooter. This is Trey Jackson, and this is the shooter, Frazier. Now watch Jackson as he comes down the court. He picks up Frazier, but he jumps back. He gets lazy. You don't get lazy against a shooter. You jump to the ball. That keeps you in the passing lane. When you jump back, it's a longer recovery.
Collision at midcourt, and the ball ends up with Florida. All of a sudden, the Gators back in the game as Frazier and Prather have combined for 31 of their 44. 19 points for Michael Frazier. He leads all scorers, and Bo Ryan's starting to sweat a little bit as Billy Donovan's team is scratching their way back into this game. They've got the ball with a chance to make it a one-possession game.
Basically, 2 dead ball presses, 2 turnovers. Florida pressed twice. Wisconsin turned it over twice. Good stepping by Yaget.
And a foul called. Another foul called on the floor, but over the limit, both teams, so they will shoot free throws. Check that they might have called a kick ball. So it will be Florida ball on the baseline as the shot clock will be set back up to 15, and it is Frazier and Prather that have carried Florida tonight.
That's that little handoff. That's effective right there. I think he walked though.
And he's hurt. Not only is a traveling call whistled against Casey Prather, but he is hurt. He had microfracture leg surgery in May and is still not the same according to Billy Donovan. And this is bad news for the Gators, as Prather has been their leading scorer through the first couple of games, on top of the fact that DeMontre Harris, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Scotty Wilbekin have all been suspended indefinitely for a violation of team rules. So the Gators are already shorthanded, but here's a player that really seems to be experiencing, Dan, a terrific start to his senior season. You'd hate to see him lost to any kind of an injury.
Well, you hate to see any kid lost, and we're going to see it right here. A little handoff action we were talking about earlier, and yeah, it looked like he may have gone knee to knee with Nigel Hayes. Yeah, knee to knee with Josh Gosser. And you can see kind of leaving his right leg back.
Well, hopefully that's a collision that Casey Prather can simply walk off. And it looks like they are going to take him back to the Gator dressing room.
Again, I'm not going to belabor the point, but 3 of your teammates getting suspended.
Patrick Young called for a touch foul out near midcourt. That's the 8th team foul called against the Gators, so it will be a 1-and-1 for the freshman Nigel Hayes. That's the 3rd on Patrick Young. Nigel Hayes, a top 100 recruit on our ESPN top 100 list. Misses the free throw, but the back tap keeps it with Wisconsin.
How about Ben Brust, 6'1", 6'2", going over to 6'8", will you get, and just tipping it out, saving a possession.
Jackson, wing jumper, in and out. Patrick Young fouled by Hayes. So that will put Patrick Young at the free throw line at the other end. That's the 4th called on Nigel Hayes. So that will bring Kaminsky back in the game.
Yeah, 4 on Hayes isn't really an issue. He's doing what he's supposed to do, bang around with Young. He's played better maybe than they anticipated him playing in the 2nd game of his career. But this kid right here, Patrick Young, needs to be the guy, both offensively and defensively, for Florida down the stretch here.
Patrick Young's free throw shooting percentages have gone down every year. 75% as a freshman, 59% as a sophomore, 49% last season, and now he misses the front end of the 1-and-1 here. And a foul called underneath on Casey Hill. That's his 4th. So now the game getting bogged down a bit more in foul calls here in the second half, as Trayvon Jackson will go to the line.
You know, guys say I'm all about the team. I'm all about winning. And then they go ahead and get suspended. That doesn't make sense to me, because every kid you talk about or talk to, yeah, I'm all about winning. I want to win. Well, winning is about doing the things every day to improve yourself and your team. And this guy right there, Billy Donovan, I commend him. You know, he's shorthanded right now, but 2 transfers and a senior don't do what he wants them to do. So they're suspended. And you can see right here, shorthanded, the kids that are doing the right thing are battling like crazy.
Prather has made his way back from the locker room. He's about to come back in. Hill for 3. That's no good. Tapped around. Keeps it alive. How about the walk-on Jacob Kurtz? The former team manager just about had his pocket picked by Ben Brust, but he creates an extra possession for Florida, and Billy Donovan will spend one of his 3 remaining timeouts.
Great timeout by Billy Donovan. His team this is a big possession, down 7. You have to have a basket here or get to the foul line. His team was a little bit disorganized after the loose ball. Great timeout.
College basketball back next Tuesday night with a Journey to the Tourney matchup. This is a good one in Stillwater, as Chris Crawford and the Tigers will take on Marcus Smart and the Cowboys. Number 13 Memphis, number 8 Oklahoma State, next Tuesday at 8 Eastern on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. Nigel Hayes has 4 fouls, but he's made an impact.
He really has. This is a freshman, playing second game of his college career against a kid right there, Patrick Young, who's all SEC, and he shows no fear whatsoever. I mean, he's going right at the senior. Nigel Hayes played for a terrific AAU program, all Ohio Red. Played at Whitmer High School, one of the best high schools in the state of Ohio. He's used to big games, but not on this stage. And he's been terrific.
Prather back on the floor after the timeout. The jump hook off the glass and through for Will You Get.
Ball screen, Casey Hill, Will You Get. The switch was made by Wisconsin. Casey Hill recognized that Trey Jackson was on You Get, and here's You Get with another steal.
And a foul called on Trey Jackson. You Get went down hard, and he's hurt.
A Wisconsin foul is on Trayvon Jackson, his third, the team's 8th.
Will You Get crashed to the floor after he was fouled by Trayvon Jackson, but terrific backcourt pressure by the Gators gets them the steal. And now you start to wonder about how thin that bench is for Billy Donovan with You Get down.
Right. I mean, third time, they're going to make a steal here. You Get takes it from Jackson, goes to the rim. You see his left leg got tangled there with.
And may have been his left arm or his left elbow kind of getting trapped underneath him as he fell.
Florida doing a good job with their face guard press, but Wisconsin is playing too slow against it. It's great that you X and O at a clinic. You go here, you do this. No, sometimes against the press, you put your head down, you go to your strong hand, and you just whip it. Now, Trey Jackson just needs to take the ball, put it in his left hand, beat somebody down the floor, find somebody in the middle, and let's go. But he's been far too tentative in exposing the ball, and it's gotten stolen from him.
With You Get hurt, let's see who shoots the free throws. And I guess we have to see who's going to officially be on the floor first. And it looks as if Bo Ryan wants Patrick Young to shoot the foul shots.
Back in the day, when you decided it as the coach, you'd be like, hey, stay down, stay down.
Not anymore.
No.
So as we said, Patrick Young, who was a 75% free throw shooter when he was a freshman, went to 59% as a sophomore, 49% as a junior, and he makes the front end of the 1-and-1 here after missing the front end of the 1-and-1 his last trip, as we are in hour 28 of the tip-off marathon. It began at 7:05 Eastern time last night.
Good for Patrick Young.
We might be in store for a good finish tonight. 5 minutes to go. There's Joakim Noah, who's made the trip up from Chicago to watch his old team play in a one-possession game under 5 minutes to go.
Now that's exactly, now you stop. Decker did, I was going to say Sheehy. Decker did exactly what you're supposed to do. Whip the press on your own, but then you got to stop and reverse the basketball, and now you've got offense.
The last 9 minutes, Wisconsin 2 for 9 from the field, 7 turnovers. And as a result, Florida has worked their way from 10 down back in the game.
A little cross screen for Young.
Young, jump hook, won't go.
Young doesn't get his shoulders turned, Bob. He's shooting it across his head instead of getting his shoulders turned and shooting it towards the basket. Good defense, really good defense by Kaminsky. And by good defense, I mean he did not let Patrick Young get comfortable or get a foot in the lane.
Kaminsky for 3. They left him alone. Will You Get gets up off the bench. He has his wrist taped. He'll be coming back in as Frazier draws a foul on a little floater in the lane. He'll shoot 2 when we come back. It's Wisconsin by 6, and when they have the lead inside of 5 minutes to go, Bo Ryan doesn't lose. Well, the first game terrific between Michigan State and Kentucky, and it looks like the second game will not be a slouch between Kansas and Duke, but we only have 3 minutes and 45 seconds left here at the Kohl Center. And it's Wisconsin holding on to a 6-point lead over Florida. Bob Wischusen alongside Dan Dockich. And this has been a back-and-forth affair as Dan Florida with defense trying to creep back in this game as they have stayed within touch of Wisconsin, down by only 5, 3:43 to go.
Yeah, the presses help Florida. You see right here. Somebody got to get to the middle and come to the ball. And now you run your stuff. The reason I say now you run your stuff is sometimes presses are just designed to speed a team up. Wisconsin, too well coached to get sped up.
Foul called on the block. And if that's against Casey Hill, he'll be done. It is on Casey Hill. So the McDonald's All-American freshman point guard is fouled out. And that again brings Scotty Wilbekin's suspension into focus as you've got a senior that's not here. It rests on the shoulders of the freshman, and he fouls out.
Yeah, and you've got a senior who's suspended for the second year in a row. I mean, it should never happen. And suspensions are at epidemic proportions in college basketball. They just are. And I don't understand it because never in the history of college sports have kids playing at a school like Florida or Wisconsin or Michigan or Indiana or wherever been treated better than they're treated now in terms of facilities and help for them. And now, you know, you're asking a freshman to come in here to the Kohl Center, and Casey Hill ends up shooting 2 for 11. He's willing, he's smart, he's tough. But his teammate, Wilbekin, didn't help him out much.
Sports Center coming up as soon as we're done here at the Kohl Center. We'll look back at the Michigan State-Kentucky game and the Wiggins-Parker duel in game number 2 of the Champions Classic. A big night for LeBron as well. Steve Levy, Scott Van Pelt standing by. Sports Center coming up right after Florida and Wisconsin with 3:18 to go.
It's got to go on the block. Great defense by Kaminsky. Kaminsky used his hips to body Patrick Young off the block.
Picks up his dribble. Gets the soft floater to go.
Well, you can't guard him any better than Duyan did. I mean, you just can't.
.12 to shoot for Wisconsin. Jackson looks up, goes to work with 8 to shoot, and a foul called away from the ball with 8 seconds on the shot clock.
That was the third time that a cutter was bumped, and Bo Ryan caught all 3. He complained about the first, really complained about the second, and then he didn't see the third. He was kind of shocked when they called the whistle for the third one.
A will you get was called for the foul, so Sam Decker goes to the free throw line. Let's take a look at the right side of our screen, see if we can pick it up.
Just a little back screen, and you see. You get that, you know, that's not the new rule. That'd be a foul 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 6 days ago.
Decker makes it a 5-point game as Wisconsin has missed 4 of their last 8 free throws, keeping Florida in it.
There's that cross screen. Same action. Throw it inside and play out of it.
Young trying to back down Kaminsky to the baseline. Draws the foul.
Kaminsky's doing everything you can do. Look how far off the block. And as he turns to his right shoulder, may have gotten him in the face, shoulder. But a really good move by Young going towards the basket. In college basketball for the next month, there should be no fadeaway jump shot. Bo has never seen a call that he's like those went against him. It's never been like, oh, that's a good call for Bo.
Like all the ones that you loved when you were coaching that went against you?
Yeah, no.
1 of 2 at the line for Young. He has 7 points, all in the second half. And Florida still down by 2 possessions with 2 minutes to go.
This should end up as a ball screen between Kaminsky and Trey Jackson, with Kaminsky getting a real opportunity for a pick and pop with about 5-8 seconds left in the shot clock.
See if they set it up with 10 to shoot. Jackson instead does it himself. That's off the mark.
Yeah, they
Hurts
just
the
flattened
rebound.
that out. They just said, Jackson, go ahead and beat him, and Jackson settled. He needed to go force something there.
Yet thought about it, was left alone, but Billy Donovan calls a timeout before Yet could pull the trigger. So Florida has 1 timeout remaining now with 1:33 to go, and the problem continues to be, where are they going to go for points? Frazier has had the hot hand. Casey Prather got banged up, but Casey Hill was a bit of a playmaker. He's fouled out, so you don't really have a pure point guard on the floor. Now you have to create with 1:33 to go.
Yeah, that's why the timeout was called. They have been running a little inside cross screen for Patrick Young, bringing him to the left block. That's fine, but what they need to do, and what Billy Donovan has done in the past, is take his best shooter, in this case it's going to be Frazier, and work him on the same side as Patrick Young. Now it forces the man guarding Frazier to help, don't help. If he doesn't help, then Young can go to work. If he helps, kick it back for a 3.
Will Yet and Patrick Young have combined for 13 points here in the second half. They only had 2 combined points in the first half. Prather on the drive, won't go. And the rebound in traffic, pulled down by Trayvon Jackson.
Billy Donovan set up a clear out for Prather, but Wisconsin's help defense was spectacular there and swarmed to the ball.
So now Florida has to have a stop on this possession.
I don't see Trey Jackson settling here. This has to be a high ball screen with Kaminsky.
And here he comes to set it. Kaminsky thought about the 3. Instead it's Jackson. 5 to shoot. Jackson out to Brust. He has to put one up. Beats the shot clock. Off the mark. Gosser with position underneath. Young takes it away, and the foul called on Gosser.
Now, without seeing a replay, I think that's a good call. I do. I've not seen a replay, but I thought Young clearly went up and over without contact. We're going to see it here. Young goes up. Now watch Gosser when he's down. He kicks at him, raises his feet. That's a foul. I don't think that's a foul on the rebound. Bigger guy going over little, and there's a kick, and there's another one, and that's a foul.
And that fouls Gosser out. That is his 5th. Bo Ryan not quite seeing it the same way that Dan Dockich and Jimmy Burr saw it.
I thought that was a really good no call. An inexperienced official would have called that over the back. But Patrick Young went straight up. He got the basketball with Gosser.
So Young has a chance to make it a 1-possession game. Can't hit the first. This is worth one more look.
Look, that's just 2 guys wrestling for the ball, and then a kick and a foul. Really good play by Patrick Young.
He's got the second, so it is a 3-point game now with 41.8 seconds to go, and Florida sets up pressure. Jackson's had some problems getting the ball into the front court against the Florida pressure. He does here and gets a timeout. They just about had him trapped.
Boy, I thought the ball got a little loose, and Prather had a real shot to get it.
We've had a couple of times tonight where Jackson has had the ball taken away in the backcourt by the Florida double team.
Big mistake stopping with the basketball right there. What you want to do is you want to bring it up the side and then get it reversed, or reverse it on the dribble yourself, but you can't get caught right there. Trey Jackson, smart, bailed himself out with a foul. Two things here for Wisconsin. Obviously, you're going to run this down. 27 on the shot clock, about a 6-second difference. It's going to end up one of two places. That high ball screen we talked about earlier. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a little clear out on a reversal for Sam Decker, just something to the rim.
Wisconsin has the possession arrow. Now, is there any circumstance here, down by 3 if you're Billy Donovan's team, where if the right player gets it in their hands, you would maybe be aggressive defensively and not mind a foul?
Oh, yeah. You don't necessarily mind one, but right now with a one-possession game, I think they'll just play this out. You have a pretty good free throw shooting team out there right now, although they were last in the Big Ten last year shooting free throws, Wisconsin. But I think this group's pretty solid.
Well, the last thing you want is a foul now. It's down to 10 on the shot clock. Jackson off the high screen. 5 to shoot. Rises up and hits. That might do it. Frazier down court. Kurtz attacks. That's blocked by Kaminsky. Loose ball. Brust has it. And Wisconsin is going to survive at home and get a big win over Florida.
Three game winners or tires last year for Trey Jackson. He beat Penn State with a 3, he beat Minnesota with a 3, and he sent the game in overtime with a 3 against Iowa. And he just sealed the deal here.
A lot of fight, though, shown by Florida as Billy Donovan's team. We've been talking about it throughout. Without 3 upperclassmen via suspension and playing with some players that have gone through injury recovery that they may not be 100% from yet. And as a result, that's 2 terrific coaches that treated us to a good game tonight. And Wisconsin gets the 6-point win. And they remain every bit as unbeatable at the Kohl Center as they have been as the years have gone on under Bo Ryan, as they are now 91-7 against non-conference competition. Sports Center is coming up next. Again, the final, Wisconsin 59, Florida 53. For Dan Dockich and our entire crew, I'm Bob Wischusen. Steve Levy, Scott Van Pelt standing by with Sports Center.